All right, folks, it's been a couple days, but we're back here again to talk about, for the first time this year, some of the technical categories at the Oscars. Now, we will have 23 categories this year, I believe. I don't think they've announced they've added any, but they've taken away the sound editing category, technically, if you want to count it that way, or they took away sound mixing, and now it's just best sound. So we'll get into the categories here. We're going to talk about not the shorts categories, not doc feature, and not international film. Those are the five we're going to leave out today. So otherwise, we'll talk about animated feature. We'll talk about cinematography. We will talk about editing. We'll talk about song and score. We will talk about the makeup category, visual effects, the design categories. Am I missing one? Yeah, and sound. Yeah, sound would be the last one. And maybe not necessarily in that order, of course. But we'll start here with, real quick, we'll get into... and then at the end, by the way, I do have a total so far of films with multiple nominations. We'll go into, which ones are looking at multiple nominations, who's in the lead right now, stuff like that. Now, I don't have it written up in a way where I can go back and say when I get to that part, I won't be able to say, I don't think off the top of my head, when we name like Mank or Ma Rainey's, I won't be able to name off like that all the categories, I don't think. But but I do have the number of nominations I have it down for. So, with that, we'll start here with the animated feature first. I think Soul right now, because it's kind of getting off the release, coming off the release here, I think that's in the front runner position right now. Of course, Pixar has, seemingly a monopoly on this category, in the last 20 years or so. Obviously, we've seen films like Into the Spider-Verse and stuff like that win over some Pixar films like Incredibles 2. Cars didn't win over Happy Feet and stuff like that. So the other film that I think everybody's talking about this year is Wolfwalkers. Now, this one I hadn't really heard of until I'd seen a couple ads here and there on, like, not YouTube, but like on some other sites, like IndieWire. Every once in a while I'll pull up their odds and stuff where they've got stuff. I believe Variety, because Clayton Davis really helped me here with the Variety pages. He has some of these tech categories here. I'm not copying his predictions by any means, obviously. A lot of his stuff I completely disagree with. Especially, he pulled up some stuff for the Golden Globes here recently. I'm like, oh, dude, that seems out to lunch. Of course, he's probably totally right. But it was completely different from several of my predictions. So... but he was able to kind of go through, so I kind of cherry-picked a few of these, like especially the song category is always my weakest one. Like I said, I just, whenever I can find the list of the ones that are qualifying, I just kind of I pick 5 right away that are up near the top alphabetically or something, and I'm always like, oh, well, what about that one? It's like, and then it's like pretty soon I have 12 or something, and it's always really difficult. And then it seems like I always pick the ones that I feel like are close, and then they don't even come close to being nominated, so... I don't know. Sometimes they end up at the Globes and then not at the Oscars, which, we always have at least 1 or 2 of those every year. Anyways, but getting back to this, this Wolfwalkers, I have no idea what it's about, but a lot of people are very excited about it. It looks kind of like a mix between 3D and 2D animation in some ways. Like it's just the little tidbits I've seen here. But I think I've heard a lot of folks are excited about that one, and a few sites have even put it over stuff like Soul and Onward and stuff like that. Let's see, then in third place I do have Onward. That's the other Pixar one. And yeah, it seems like that one obviously coming out in March, right at the time the pandemic was really starting to hit here in the U.S. Obviously heard at the box office, and then it went on to Disney+. But generally, I think I've talked to a few people who've seen it. They really did like it, family members and stuff who really did enjoy it. This one, I wasn't really wowed by the marketing, so I didn't end up seeing it, and I think I don't know. I might get around to it eventually, but yeah, it's not one that I'm superly over the moon about. Earwig and the Witch is another one that people are talking about, and then Over the Moon, a Netflix animated film I have getting nominated. Klaus was the one I picked last year to win. It did not. Instead, it went to guess who? Pixar with Toy Story 4. Otherwise, the only other 2 I have down that really stick out to me right now, and I, obviously with theaters and stuff being closed for most of the year, or seemingly most of the year, I don't really think it was a strong year for animated films. So it's like, 3 of these I'd barely heard of when I started putting the little list together here. And that's really just coming down to Trolls 2 and The Croods 2 are the only other 2. I do think at least one of those might get in, say, at the Globes, and a couple of the recent years they have gone a little bit away from that, but it used to be in years and years before, it'd be like, if they picked 5, it was always like, okay, well, they throw in this sequel, stuff like that sometimes. But I think in recent years they've kind of gone away from that a little bit. So they might pick maybe one of those, but I don't see them going with like Soul, Onward, Croods 2, Trolls 2, and like Over the Moon, just for an example here. For 5 or something like that. I really don't think they would go with 4 big profile films like that from major studios like that. I could be wrong. Of course, the Globes kind of do what they want, so we'll probably catch up on that one here later. So it's like, yeah, that's about the only 7 that's coming to mind right now. But yeah, it doesn't really seem like it was that huge a year for animated features. Okay, we'll go with the cinematography next. For this one, just kind of looking at the trailers and stuff, I'm going to put Nomadland ahead right now. Mank, with its black and white cinematography, is kind of leading a few polls right now. Again, I'm going with the theory right now that Mank is going to be like The Irishman last year, where it's going to get all these boatload of nominations, but it's just not going to find a win anywhere. And speaking of which, I did finally switch. David Fincher I have now in second place for director. I have Chloe Zhao out front for Nomadland, just to kind of jump on that bandwagon. But again, that's one. Yeah, I always had her a close second. It's like, yeah, I finally just kind of bit the bullet there and said, okay, I'll go ahead and put her out front. But it's not to say that category is all done. But it's almost at this early point in the season, relatively early point in the season now, in very early January, kind of feeling a little bit like Alfonso Cuarón, The Year of Roma, and stuff like that. But we'll see. So I have Nomadland out front here for cinematography in the meanwhile, then Mank, and then Da 5 Bloods I have in third place. I think it's a really strong cinematographical achievement there. And who is the person? I'm going to look this up just to see. Cinematographer here was Newton Thomas Siegel, who I believe worked with Spike Lee on... no, he didn't. Okay, this is where I know him from. No, he shot Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, and I remember he got actually a BAFTA nomination that year. Kind of a surprise. But otherwise, he's worked on some other films, like a couple of the X-Men films, Marshall, the Chadwick Boseman biopic. He's worked on Drive. He actually got a few nominations there, I'm kind of seeing here. Otherwise, you can go back. He's worked on a few other Bryan Singer projects, like Valkyrie and the first 2 X-Men films, The Usual Suspects. So he's been around a while. No, but who shot Black Klansman? I thought that was the same cinematographer, but no, that wasn't correct. Anyways, but yeah, I think I did like the cinematography in that one, especially when they're kind of switching. And editing has to do with this too, but it's like when they're switching between the Vietnam era and the current era and all that. I thought it looked really, really good there, with the kind of going from grainy film look to a little bit more crisper, probably digital look. I don't know, maybe he did shoot it on film, but I don't happen to know that offhand, but definitely the comparison though was there, and the back and forth I think really worked. Otherwise, Christopher Nolan films always do very well here in cinematography. Tenet I have in 4th place, and I have Minari in 5th place. That one there. So I think the one that I think a lot of people are picking right now, or one of the 2 that they're picking, if not Minari, or if they're not going with The 5 Bloods, is either News of the World or Ma Rainey's. And I have to say, really, neither one of those for me is a very big cinematography achievement. Like News of the World, especially with all the shaky cam and everything, that's part of it. Obviously, the lighting and everything else has a lot more to do with sometimes who gets nominated here. But it's like just that all that stuff with News of the World stuff. I feel like it is one of those, again, like I've said with this film many times, it's that 6th or 7th place slot for me, I think. I mean, otherwise, especially like all the rain stuff toward the beginning, that looked nice. The kind of contrast there between kind of the open West in Texas there versus some of the civilization, was fine. And, some of the interior stuff I thought was all right. But just for me, I don't see that as a huge achievement cinematography-wise. And then Ma Rainey's, I kind of make the same comparison there. It's like it's not really as creative with its camera work as I think other films have been in the past with that kind of one setting, Just one, by the way, I've kind of rewatched a couple times now, is 12 Angry Men. It's on YouTube. You can watch it ad-free. Or, no, not ad-free, but with ads. You can watch it for free. That's what I meant. And it's like, I just remember, kind of, again, we've kind of talked about this one before, but it's like seeing it, just the small room and just the cinematography is so clever in the way that you don't even think about it being like this big cinematography thing, but it's like there's so many shots that go on for so long and kind of, maneuver around and all that. Like, always, the thing that always jumps out to me is like juror number 10 when he has this big bigotry-filled speech at the end there, like the last time his character has any dialogue. It's like the camera starts here on him and it goes out and it just encapsulates the entire room as everybody kind of stops listening to him and turns away from him and stuff. And one guy even covers his ears and everything. And it's like, it's such a long shot, but it's like, yeah, there's, in a very small, the one setting, kind of like Ma Rainey's a little bit, I don't know. It's like, if you compare the two, it's like, Ma Rainey's, I felt, for the most part, there's a couple parts where it's like, okay, there's some long stretches of dialogue before they cut and stuff, but it's one, I think it could happen here, but especially if it gets into a sweep mentality and it does become like an 11-12 nominee film, but I just think it is kind of that 6th or 7th place spot here. Otherwise, I think the only other one people are really talking about here early on, and I haven't quite caught up with this one yet on Netflix, is The Midnight Sky. Kind of feels like one that could make it in. It looks like there's quite a bit going on, like color-wise and stuff. So that's one I've heard a few people also considering here. Okay, for film editing, I also have Nomadland out front here as kind of an early front runner. In second place, I have Mank. I think that one's probably a pretty solid pick to get in. Trial of Chicago 7 is my third place one, and this one I can understand if it does come back and win this category, or at least, is a pretty early pick here to be like a front runner. And I think that's really because, like I said, if the movie storytelling in the movie, really well crafted with the way it jumps between the current day and the trial versus the events that led up to the trial, why they're all there and stuff, jumping back and forth, I think really, really well done in the film. So the editing really stands out there. The opening sequence, again, kind of like some other films like Jojo Rabbit I always mentioned last year, why I thought, not always, but when I started picking it for editing, and it was, I remember a lot of people were like, no, it's not going to happen. But I was like, well, just look at the opening scene. It's like all the quick cuts and stuff. And it's like all the stuff with the newsreel footage jumping back and forth in the beginning and during the opening credits and stuff. I'm like, yeah, they just have to watch that part and they'll nominate it for editing. And they did. But it's like, Trial of Chicago 7 is a little bit more obvious with the way, it's a little more throughout the story that there's all the editing. But again, like I was trying to say, the opening sequence, when you're cutting between almost all of the 7 that are on trial, minus, it's like a couple, and then Bobby Seale, they introduce him. But it's like the Sacha Baron Cohen and Jeremy... I was going to say Jeremy Piven, but no, he's not in the movie. Jeremy Strong, then Eddie Redmayne, and and all the characters there. It's like as they're introducing them, I thought, obviously that's a big spot for editing there. Let's see. So I have that one. Then I have my Best Picture frontrunner, One Night in Miami. I have in there in fourth place. Kind of sticking with that rule of if you're going to win Best Picture, you have to be nominated for editing, which Parasite was last year. So that stuck with that rule. And I do have Ma Rainey's in there for fifth place. Again. Maybe that's one I think maybe if it just kind of goes on a little bit of a streak there. So that one I can see possibly dropping out. That's why I have it in fifth. But I don't know. I think it'll get so many other nominations. They might just kind of check it for that one, the editors branch, if they like it enough. Otherwise, Tenet is one I'm considering. Chris Nolan's films, surprisingly have not been as on the spot with that. Dunkirk won the category, but like Inception wasn't even nominated for editing. Dark Knight, I was going to double check that here. Lee Smith was the editor there. It'll just work better if I just pull up his page here. Editor, there we go. Because I thought he missed out for The Dark Knight for the Oscar. No, he was nominated. Okay, never mind. I was thinking there was one other one of his. Now, Interstellar, I knew he didn't get nominated for, but no, okay, I was maybe thinking of something else. But Inception was kind of the big one he wasn't nominated for. So it's not like they the editor always gets in for a Christopher Nolan film. So I think that one's close. News of the World, again, is close. To Five Bloods, I would not discount entirely. Possibly The Father, if that one does, get a surprise nomination for like directing and stuff and kind of starts expanding a little bit of its numbers there, then that's one I would watch for. Sound of Metal is one a lot of people are putting in for, some people are putting in for like Best Picture and stuff now, so like film editing might go along with that. Minari I would say possibly as well. Again, especially if it does really solidify as a strong Best Picture contender there. Okay, let's jump to where do we want to go next? We can do the design categories next here. We'll start with production design first. I have Ma Rainey's out front here with this one. Mank in second place. All the old Hollywood stuff, is really right front and center here, so that might win over. But again, I just don't. It's like, again, there's that rule of this being The Irishman. I don't know if it'll win. I have News of the World in third place, Mulan in fourth place, and Emma in fifth place. And I think there's arguments for some of these films not to be here. Like Emma, I can see dropping out. Mulan, I can see dropping out if it really disappoints and doesn't end up with very much. But Ma Rainey's I kind of have out front just because I have it on winning for costume design as well. I think sometimes these two categories do go together, like Black Panther. What was the couple? There's other examples, of course, but like Black Panther a couple of years ago won both of these. Did they go to the same last year? I don't think so. No. Little Women and something else. Yeah. Or Once Upon a Time Hollywood. Yeah. So they split last year, but sometimes these do go together, but not always. Anyways, so then some other potential ones here, like The Midnight Sky again is one that just looking at it might be a more obvious pick. So that one I might put in a little later. Personal History of David Copperfield is getting a few votes here. It's kind of, I believe, 1800 set, so that might come through. But Emma is kind of making the same argument there, and I think that one might be a little bit more on their radar than Personal History of David Copperfield, because Emma opened pre-pandemic, and it did well. I mean, obviously, like I said, for this one in the past, it would have done even better if theaters had stayed open, at regular business. But even so, I think it made a decent dent at the box office at the time. So I think that one is a little bit more on the radar, plus Anya Taylor-Joy being in The Queen's Gambit. I think some people have gone back to see this one, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does end up with 3, maybe even 4 nominations in some of these tech categories. Let's see here. Tenet is one a few people are picking as well, but I don't know. I mean, there's not really too much otherworldly stuff. It's not like Inception or even something, obviously like Interstellar or something like that, where it's like it's otherworldly or it's, created in the dream and stuff. It's like, it's not really. In Tenet, it's kind of more the normal world. It's just, it doesn't really feel like a big production design achievement to me. Never count out something like Trial of Chicago 7 or To Five Bloods, just in case. I think they're a little lower on the list here. One Night in Miami, I would also say the same for that. But, yeah, and then we'll see, again, one I haven't mentioned yet is United States versus Billie Holiday. If that one does come on strong, something like a production design might go along for the ride as well here. Okay, then getting into costume design, I have, as I said, Ma Rainey's out front here as well. Mank in a solid second place, Emma in third, Mulan in fourth place, and then I have Ammonite in fifth place. And that one, again, I don't know. It's like right now I have it in for Kate Winslet, and I have it in for this, and then, okay, I have to go to my other one here, because some of these are on Gold Derby, which is a little easier for me to navigate, and some of these I just have written down. Okay, I do not have it in for score yet, but I have it down as a possible. So I think, I have these 2 right now, but I don't know if it'll do a lot better than that. But Ammonite might be one, it seemed like a pretty solid pick early, but then, of course, after screenings and stuff, and it didn't obviously do very well at the box office, but it seems like this one is really in the far back burner for a lot of voters. So Kate Winslet, for example, in Best Actress really seems like a distant kind of 4th or 5th place pick right now. So, it might still get in for costumes only, but it's like, I don't know. It's like we've seen a few films still do that, but I don't know. It's kind of tougher, and in very recent years, they've kind of gone with films that have at least another couple nominations on there. Anyway, so I have those 5. Again, United States versus Billie Holiday and Personal History of David Copperfield are ones to watch out for here. The Prom, haven't seen it yet, but it seems like that one could have some heavy costume stuff with all the prom dresses and stuff. I can see that one, especially like when we get to like the Costume Designers Guild, like for contemporary. Boom, that one will probably win, unless there's a very obvious one that I'm forgetting here. But I can see that one really winning there. News of the World, possible. I mean, we did see like The Revenant, for God's sakes, as a Western get in for costume design that year. But again, that was one where it was like it was getting into almost every category it could have. Just a screenplay was like the last one that it could have gotten into. It didn't. But otherwise, yeah, like we mentioned, Trial Chicago 7, One Night in Miami are a couple to look out for. Yeah, and then maybe Defy Bloods. But again, I think Defy Bloods is really, really down on the list there. There's a few other ones that would probably make sense before that one. All right. Let's see. Let's move to... let's do the music categories next here. Starting with the original song category. Again, I'm kind of giving a lot of credit here to Clayton. Did I say his name correctly last time? It was Clayton Davis? Yeah, Clayton Davis. Yeah, he's the guy at Variety right now. And he is, kind of putting together some of these tech category lists as well, so that's kind of helpful to kind of narrow it down. And then, there's a couple things I don't think he has on there that I put in there, so, I'm not obviously copying off him, but it's like, yeah, he definitely kind of narrows a few things down, which really helps here. Okay, so it seems like a few people are picking Speak Now, a song from One Night in Miami, so I think, yeah, that one probably makes sense. Let's see here. There's Lo Si from The Life Ahead, which is the Sophia Loren film. Wear Your Crown, which is the original song from The Prom, so that one obviously makes sense being a musical there. Turntables, which is a song in the film All In, The Fight for Democracy, which I believe is a documentary. And, we've seen, again, in very recent years, not last year, but in years before, we've seen at least one documentary song get in. And then Just Sing, which is, I believe, one of the more catchy songs from the Trolls sequel. Let's see. Otherwise, Hear My Voice is one from Trial of Chicago 7, which might get some votes. If Only You Could Save Me from Mank, which I did not know Mank had a song in it, so that one I don't know. Wuhan Flu, if they really are in like a South Park Blame Canada mood for the Borat sequel. Onward has the original song Carried Me With You, which, again, Pixar songs sometimes do go along for the ride. Like every Toy Story song has gotten in there and stuff like that. And then Loyal, Brave, True from Mulan. So it's like there's a couple Disney ones in there to keep in mind. But it always seems like Disney at least gets one slot, or seemingly so. If it's not Disney, Pixar, yeah. So yeah, I think there's quite a bit to discuss there in that category. And I haven't heard any of the songs yet or anything. So so we'll have to see where everybody's at on that one in the next few weeks here. But that's kind of an early look at that category. All right, for Best Original Score, I'm going to start with the film that actually won the Los Angeles Prize for Film Music, and that's Soul, which is actually from Atticus Ross and Ross and shit, I can't remember their names. Atticus Ross and I can't remember the other guy's name. I'll get it here. Hold on. Atticus Ross, Trent Reznor. Yeah, Reznor and Ross. That's right. Yeah. They also did the score for Mank, but really, I can't think of anybody besides John Williams and Thomas Newman in recent years who's gotten the double nomination the same year. And it's like these guys in recent years have been kind of, names that are very recognizable like that. But they got in for and won for The Social Network, and then it's like kind of since then it's kind of like Michael Giacchino, where it's like they keep doing great scores, but they just can't get nominated anywhere. Like Gone Girl, they weren't nominated for. Let's see here. Is there anything else? Because I can't remember if they were even nominated for anything else. No, they haven't been. Not since Social Network. But like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, they weren't nominated for. Gone Girl. I think there's one other one that I'm trying to think of here. A more recent one that they weren't. That they did the music for, but now I can't remember which film it would have been. It's after Gone Girl, but is there like a list of their filmography here? Something that'll help me? Because I can't remember what it was. There's discography. Okay, maybe that one then. Films, here we go. Well, they did a score for Waves, Patriots Day, stuff like that. No, okay. I was maybe thinking of something else, but no, yeah, they have both Mank and Soul, and it seems, again, right now all the momentum seems to be with Soul. Pixar films, like Up and stuff, have one here for score. Like I said, though, stuff like Inside Out, didn't get nominated. Randy Newman's score for Toy Story 3 didn't get in, which I thought was a really fine score. Sure, a lot of materials repeated, but as we've said many, many times, if John Williams can get nominated off of that, why not somebody else? But didn't seem to go that way. Let's see, so I have that one in first place. News of the World actually has a really good score to it, and I was going to look it up. I think it's the... he's been nominated a few times here. I need to just remember his name. James Newton Howard, yeah. So he's gotten a few nominations through the years here, but I don't believe he has ever won. Oh, no, Prince of Tides he won for. No, he didn't win. No. Nominated, yeah, it says right here. No, but I thought it was the Prince of Egypt did he win for? Or did he I don't think he even did that one. No, that was somebody else. No. That one won for something that year. Maybe original song. Okay, I'm getting all mixed up here. But yeah, he's been nominated a few times here. Defiance, I'm seeing here. He has been nominated since then, right? Because that was like 2008. Yeah, that was the last time he was nominated. Shit. But yeah, I mean, he keeps busy. I mean, you just look through his Rolodex here. You know, he did like some of the Hunger Games films. I don't think did he do all 4? Yeah, he did all 4 of them. That's right. Oh, God, I completely forgot that. Danny Elfman was going to do the score originally, but he replaced him last minute. And then he did all 4 of them. Okay. Let's see. Then he did like the Maleficent movies. He did, or at least the first one. Hidden Life for Terrence Malick last year. The Fantastic Beasts movies. Detroit, Roman J. Israel Esquire, Red Sparrow, Concussion, Nightcrawler. Yeah, he's very active, very prolific score guy there. No, okay, I was trying to think of who else, but no, I guess, yeah, he has not been nominated in a while, not since Defiance. Otherwise, just going back through here, he was nominated for, I Am Legend, is that right? I don't remember that one ever getting an Oscar nomination. Yeah, it's not even on their thing here. That might not be correct. I don't know. I'm not going to trust that page. I think there's some stuff in there. It's like, okay. But anyways, but yeah, James Newton Howard is basically the guy I was trying to get to there. But yeah, and yeah, he's done some very good work over the years here. But this one I think really stuck out to me as a really good score. Alexander Desplat, of course, is almost like an expected nominee at this point. He's been nominated almost pretty much every time the last few years here, right? I mean, Little Women last year. Let's see. Otherwise, I'm skipping. Okay, 2018. Let me think here. Let me just skip to. I think this one will be correct. Little Women, Isle of Dogs. Okay, yeah, that's right. I was trying to think. I'm like, he skipped a year there, but no. Like Little Women, Isle of Dogs, Shape of Water, all in the last 3 years there. Then he was a double nominee though. A good example here: Grand Budapest Hotel and Imitation Game. Otherwise, Philomena the year before that, Argo the year before that, King's Speech, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Yeah, so this would be his 12th nomination, unless there's another one I'm thinking of. Did he get in for a song once? Maybe. If it is, it's not listed here. But either 12th or 13th. But I thought he was nominated for song somewhere. Not just score. But it's everything I'm seeing here just says score. So... and let me double check that number here. Yeah, this would be his 12th nomination. Yeah, so obviously John Williams I think has like 51 or 52 at this rate. So he's got a little ways to go before he catches up with like John Williams and a few other ones like that. Like if you go clear back in the day, you can go to like folks like some of the other Newmans there, like Alfred Newman or Max Steiner. Some of them had like 20 plus nominations too. So. Anyways, but yeah, Midnight Sky, a lot of people have talked about really liking that score as well. I have Tenet in there. That's Ludwig Göransson, who just won a couple years ago for Black Panther. Also recently been working on stuff for Mandalorian, so seems like he's in. And they might just name check that one because they think it's Hans Zimmer, because Hans Zimmer is almost always nominated. But then I have Da 5 Bloods in there for score for Terrence Blanchard, who got more or less... a nomination a couple years ago for BlacKkKlansman that I thought was possible. I didn't put it in. I was going to say unexpected, but it's like, no, he did end up getting nominated at like BAFTA or something. So it's not like he all of a sudden came into the race just for that one, but no. And he's got both that one and One Night in Miami and a few. It's like I've seen a couple people that want to put in One Night Miami over To Five Bloods. But right now I just have To Five Bloods in there because I think it will do a little bit better in some of these tech categories than One Night Miami will. But a few other contenders here. Mank, I think, is really top of the list for me for which one I would put in next. But again, it's like, if you're not Alexander Desplat or John Williams, it's like, or Thomas Newman, it's really tough to get that double nomination here in this score category. Trial of Chicago 7 has Daniel Pemberton. We've talked about him a few times. Just for me personally, going back to, there was that PC game a long, long time ago, The Movies, which I always played, and I'm actually just reordered a copy. I'm going to try to play it again on an old crappy Windows I've got there on a different computer. And he actually did the music for that, and I always remember that always stuck out to me because he had to go from like the 20s all the way up to like current day and stuff and do all the different styles of music, and it's like all the original compositions for that are actually like, if you go back and listen to them, it's like there's catchy ones in there for sure. Anyways, but yeah, he's done stuff for like Steve Jobs and nominated last year for Motherless Brooklyn. So Trial of Chicago 7, even the soundtrack here, I think sticks out maybe even more so. So this might be his first nomination. Again, we'll have to see how Trial of Chicago 7 does in some of these tech categories, because I do think, again, we talked about in the last Oscar video, it does feel a lot like Marriage Story, where it's going to do really well in the writing and the acting categories, and it will get in for picture. Otherwise, it's really going to struggle, because Marriage Story, as we saw last year, it got score, it got picture, it got the 3 acting, and it got screenplay, and that was it. Unless I'm missing one. But no, I think it was those 6. And Trial of Chicago 7 I do have in, not in the same, obviously the exact same categories, but I think in the same context there. I pulled it out for a director last time. But, I could be wrong. It could be one that sticks around and gets in for director, gets in for some of these tech categories as well. But I think it's close here. Minari might get in for score as well. Pieces of a Woman I have down because it's Howard Shore, but he's really hit and miss here, especially lately. Because it's like, he was nominated a couple times and won, I believe both times, for the scores for Lord of the Rings, the first one and the third one. But stuff like The Departed and, scores for stuff like Philadelphia, Silence of the Lambs, a couple other ones like that. Spotlight more recently, it's like he'll do scores like that for like Best Picture winners, Best Picture nominees and stuff, but they don't win. It's like, Philadelphia wasn't a Best Picture nominee, but like, he'll work with some of the same filmmakers there and stuff. I don't believe he did the score for King Kong though. I was thinking that one, but no, that didn't get nominated. I believe that was actually James Newton Howard. If it wasn't James Newton Howard, it was the other guy who's got 3 names. I always confuse the two, but anyways, but yeah, Pieces of a Woman I have in there. Possibly, I haven't heard a lot of buzz about the movie, like score-wise, but I have it in for those couple acting nominations, so it's like, it's possible. And then Ammonite's the last one there. And I did look through Thomas Newman. I always, I have a soft spot for him, because I think he is probably, aside from John Williams there, I think he is the best working composer today for films and stuff, and I would have really liked to have seen him win last year for 1917. I mean, you can't argue with Joker; it was still really good. But yeah, that one I really liked. But he's got last I checked, it was 2 films out this year, but that could be possible here. Let Them All Talk, which is this new Soderbergh movie, but premiering just on HBO and stuff, which you can qualify this year and stuff, but I don't know. I haven't heard. There's like not a ton of people that are really, really buzzing about it. Even with like Meryl Streep, who obviously probably turns in a good performance there. Candice Bergen has gotten some buzz for supporting actress, but I haven't heard a ton about it. And then The Little Things is the other one, which is the new film from John Lee Hancock, who he's worked with several times. Here. I was just kind of looking at his page here. So like that's Son, going back to like The Highwaymen, and I thought there was one other one before that. Oh yeah, Saving Mr. Banks. That's right. Yeah, he was actually nominated for that one. But yeah, he's doing the Little Things, which is it's this one. I've seen a couple previews for it here, but it's like Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto, kind of a thriller movie there. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's a big Oscar player. Warner Brothers is definitely more pushing Judas and the Black Messiah. So yeah, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. And I mean, Thomas Newman, I mean, he's been nominated for stuff like Passengers and stuff like that, which is kind of more name check stuff. So it's not impossible for him to just get nominated for the film, even when it's not high up on the radar and stuff. But I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know. Just seems like if it was gonna get in, we'd have a little bit more buzz ahead of it. But it just doesn't seem to be the case this time. All right, so that's the two song categories. Now we'll go to sound. In Best Sound, I actually kind of just, to break my rule a little bit here, just for now I have Mank out front for its sound, just because it's the single track soundtrack kind of deal where they put all the music and the dialogue on the same track there, which they used to do back in the 30s and 40s. It was commonplace back then. And that's, again, just for a temporary holdover here. I'm kind of waiting to see this The Sound of Metal movie. A few people have compared it to Whiplash, kind of coming in the way of a competitor, not necessarily, I think, in the way of the filmmaking, but I think it has to do with like a drummer too. So it's like that's maybe another reason why. So maybe a little bit story, but I'm kind of waiting to catch up on that one. But that's I believe won for Best Sound at LA or one of these film critic societies here. So I think it's one that'll I have it in second place to get nominated. Tenet in third place. I can maybe see that one coming back and winning. Midnight Sky I have in there in fourth place, and then in fifth place I do have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom because it's all about music. So again, there's that old rules film like Whiplash and films like La La Land and stuff like that getting into sound, and obviously Bohemian Rhapsody a couple of years ago. It's like all these movie-based films, and sometimes musicals like Bird and Ray and stuff, if you consider them musicals. Definitely musical biopics as well. Definitely do really tend to benefit in this category. Let's see. Otherwise, the Pixar films sometimes get in. So Soul is one. I had it in for a second here on Gold Derby, then I took it out in favor of, I think, Midnight Sky. I didn't have in there previously. News of the World, I think, is, again, really, really close here to getting a nomination. I think it's close. Defy Bloods, I think, is really close. Greyhound, I can possibly see coming back here. That's the Apple TV Tom Hanks one. I haven't seen that one, but I've actually heard, because the critics were kind of mixed on it, kind of leaning toward negative, but a few people have seen it and actually really liked it. Trial of the Chicago 7 is one possibly. I mean, a lot of it is kind of dialogue, overlapping dialogue, Aaron Sorkin stuff, but that doesn't always get in, United States versus Billie Holiday is one I wouldn't discount. Again, especially, music-based kind of film there. Cherry might have some war stuff in it if that one hits. Again, another Apple one there. And Mulan is also one I'm kind of keeping an eye on here as well. I think that's about it for that one. So I think sound is going to be a little bit just the one category this time, There's a couple things that, like Greyhound, if it was like a sound editing category, if we just want to play that game real quick, I think something like Greyhound or News of the World would have benefited really, really well and really would have easily landed that spot there. But without it, maybe not so much. Okay, so I think that's it for that. Now I can switch over to this one here. Okay, so we've just got makeup and visual effects left. Makeup we'll do first here. The 5 I have in... and this is one, I don't think, did Clayton Davis have one for this? He might have. But I have Ma Rainey's out front here, just for some of the stuff with, like, Viola Davis, her transformation, which I think some of it was her, like, putting on a little bit of weight, but then it's also all the heavy makeup on top of it there. So I think that one's going to be the easy front runner there. Mank, I think, is going to be in second place. I do have Hillbilly Elegy in for all the Glenn Close stuff. I think that one will get a spot there, possibly. And then Emma and Defy Bloods are my fourth and fifth place picks there. Then otherwise, a couple other ones to consider here. Midnight Sky, I haven't seen it yet, but I have a feeling that one might have some effects in it that are, more in-camera stuff, or not, makeup and not just CGI or whatever. Trial of Chicago 7 does have some fun with the hairstyle stuff with, like, the Sacha Baron Cohen and the, especially, what's his name? Mark Rylance. It's like his character has all the, kind of looks completely different than Rylance does in real life. The Prom I have as a possibility, again, if they're leaning more toward that hairstyling part of the title of the category. And then Cherry I have down as a possible now, nobody having seen it because, I think there is possibly going to be, especially if there's combat material and stuff. There might be some makeup effects there. You know, obviously we saw 1917 nominated here last year, and that had like zero makeup. There's like a couple wounded soldiers. It's like, yeah, I was told whenever we watch it at home there, I'd always tell my mom and my folks or wherever, I'm like, yeah, are you enjoying the film's makeup? Because it got nominated. It's like, you know, I don't know. I always kind of kid it for that. But, and one I did not put on there, but I think, again, if they kind of go through time a little bit, might help it, is that United States versus Billie Holiday might come back and be a nominee here for makeup. Once we have gotten some reviews on that one, and at least some people who have seen it. All right, then lastly, visual effects. And, you know, I was always thinking this was going to be a really tough category, because it's like, we don't have, you know, those huge tentpole blockbusters to help us here. We don't have the Marvel movies like Black Widow or Eternals, I think was supposed to be out by this point. We don't have some of those films out to, you know, to kind of get in there. Even still, when I was kind of going through stuff, I'm like, well, I got to 5, actually, well, I got to 4 pretty easily. And then after that, I was like, ooh, that fifth place pick, this is going to be tough. Unless there's one that I'm totally leaving out here. But the 4 that I think are pretty obvious to me right now: Tenet, Midnight Sky, Greyhound, Mulan. Those 4, with possibly Greyhound being the exception there, those 4 seem pretty solid to me. Then it's that 5th place pick. It's like, okay, it's like, for me, it's like there's 2 films where I've seen it and the visual effects were not really all that solid all the way through. There's some good effects and some bad effects, and both these films, I was like, I don't know. I ended up going with my 5th place pick, the one that I will think have a little bit more Oscar buzz to it, and that's News of the World for 5th place. But yeah, if you've seen the film, there's a couple of shots where the visual effects are there, and it's like, really not well done. I mean, really obvious CGI, and it really felt like, okay, yeah, you could see the effects budget was probably not what it should have been. And part of that, too, might have been, you know, trying to edit during the pandemic and stuff, and they might not have gotten everybody they could for visual effects and all that, but it's like, still, it's like, what matters is what ends up on the screen, so, yeah, I kind of took some umbrage to some of the effects in it. But, like, for example, when they do the dust storm and stuff like that, I believe was part, if not all CG, was at least part CG. Like, the dust storm part, which is, it's only like a couple minutes in the film, but it's like, that looked like a real dust storm. Maybe it was, you know, all generated on set, I don't know. But it felt like there was at least some CG involved in that. But there's a couple, like, there's one part, I don't want to ruin it, but there's a part where, there's a wreck that kind of happens with one of the carriages, one of the wagons or whatever, and it's like, it just looks like shit. It just did not look good. And then my other one that I was really close to putting in, and I don't have it in right now, but I think, again, it's that 6th place one, is Wonder Woman 1984, because I do think there is some good stuff, like in some of the early parts of the movie, effects-wise, that works. But I don't know, that third act really looked like they were kind of skimping out, like especially the cheetah stuff. If you've seen the trailers, yeah, it doesn't look much better in the movie. I mean, it felt like they needed a couple more rendering passes on that one. It just didn't look all that impressive. And then some of the stuff with, it's in the, I don't know if it's in the trailers actually, but there's one part where it's almost like that old superhero cliche where there's the beam shooting up into the sky. There's kind of something similar to that. And it's like some of the effects around that whole sequence, again, it's in the third act, so I don't want to give it away entirely if you haven't seen it yet, but I don't know, it felt like there was a lot of stuff there that was really, really not clicking. Anyways, so I think there's another couple I'm considering here, but again, I don't know if they're really going to be that heavy-minded. They're both, by the way, films that I think will get a lot of nominations, Defy Bloods and Mank, but it's like Mank, it's like there's like a couple CGI animals, and that's about all I can find that's like very obvious CGI in the movie. Maybe like some of the sets or some of the backgrounds and stuff maybe was a little CGI. If that was, then I think they did an impressive job there. That looks a lot more realistic. And all that, but it's like, I don't know if that's one the effects crew are going to go with. I mean, for supporting visual effects, I can see it making the list of 5, but I don't know. And then Defy Bloods is one where it's like, I don't know, it feels like some of the sequences do have some visual effects in it. Again, there's some of that stuff is kind of spoiler material, so I won't go into every last thing in that, but I can see that one possibly making a nomination there. Okay, so we're going to go through now. This is, let's see, let's see if I can, I didn't write them down in order, most at least, but we'll give it a try here. Let's see, I have after all these are totaled up, and this is, by the way, and not in this video, but including the screenplay categories, acting categories, director, picture, I have Mank out front with 11 nominations. Now, real quick, picture, director, 2 acting races, screenplay, and then, yeah, the other 6 would be in tech categories here. Then we have Ma Rainey's I have getting 10, so that's picture, director, screenplay, 2 acting, so even 5 and 5 split. Let's see, then I have, make sure I'm counting all these here, 3 films with 7 nominations. Really confusing because I have Trial of Chicago 7 with 6, so it looks like I've misplaced it or something. But One Night Miami I have down for 7, Nomadland I have down for 7, and Defy Bloods I have down for 7. Again, when we kind of look at that real quick, One Night Miami has picture, director, 2 acting races, screenplay, and then just a couple tech nominations right now. Nomadland, similar, 2 acting nominations, director, picture, screenplay, and then just a couple techs here with cinematography and editing. And then Defy Bloods has picture, director, actor, screenplay, and then, yeah, the other 3 come in the tech categories here. And then I have a couple films with 6 nominations. That's Trial of the Chicago 7, which I believe we've talked about those. And then News of the World, which I have in for picture, supporting actress, adapted screenplay, and then the other 3 being techs. Let's see, then, for other Best Picture nominees, I have The Father with 4, and I believe those are all just in the top categories. I don't have it getting anything in tech. And then Minari, which I have in for picture, I have it in for screenplay, and then I have it in for cinematography, and I think that's it. Yeah, so I don't even have that one in for like one of the acting races or director yet. But that could change. We'll see where it's at for like the Best Picture competition-wise here over the next few weeks here. Tenet I have in 4 categories. Then I have Emma, Soul, and Midnight Sky in 3, and then everything else I think I have 2. So that's Pieces of a Woman with just the 2 acting categories, Ammonite with actress and costume, Hillbilly Elegy with supporting actress and makeup, Mulan with I think just the 2 design categories for that one there. Oh no, I think that one has 3, doesn't it? I think I have it in, because I have it in for visual effects, and then I think I have it in for both costume design and production design, don't I? Yeah, I have it in for... Okay, so that one is 3. Okay, make that correction here. So Mulan has 3, not 2. All right, so that's where I'm at right now. Everything else, I think, would be just a single nomination, which, you know, kind of like last year, it's like we didn't see near as much of that because it just felt like, especially with the shortened window last year for the voting and everything, it just felt like it's like, okay, so they put in 1917 for this on top of all the stuff we anticipated. And all that's, it's like they really prioritized on some of that stuff, and other, you know, films out there which could have gotten the 1 nomination and then all that, it's like they really did not benefit last year. And I think we could see a similar problem this year, where, you know, again, some of the voters might prioritize on stuff that's really, you know, talked about, you know, films like Ma Rainey's or The Father or Mank or Nomadland or Chicago 7 and all those. It's like, and they could really start filling out a lot of these categories with stuff like that. Yeah, and it's, you know, it's pretty early. You know, normally in a normal Oscar year, this would be early January, kind of equates to like early November at this point. You know, it kind of on the calendar and stuff. It's like, you know, we're about a month away or so, a little over a month away from when the Golden Globes announced their nominees. SAG is the day before or the day after. I can't remember what that one is, but it's like they're both like a day apart. Actually, I can bring it up here. Yeah. Globes is first, then SAG. Okay, yeah, it was a few years ago they had SAG before Globes, which was weird that year. Then BAFTA won't be long after that. PGA, DGA, all that stuff will be, yeah, I believe, late February, early March. So, yeah, we got some time here. One thing, though, the Grammys, you know, they do have that, the film score category, or I can't remember if it's called that. What's it called? Visual media score, something like that, which... I don't know. I guess that's the equivalent here. Oh, wait. This is from last year's. Never mind. These are the ones that are already picked. Never mind. That's so like 3 of the 5 got nominated here. 1917, Joker, and Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. Okay, yeah, they usually come pretty close to that. Sorry, I was looking at that wrong. Sorry, this would be the Grammys for the next year that would be considering these. I always forget they're a little apart. But I'm not a Grammys watcher by any means. But Anyways, but it's like I looked at that weird because it was like January 31st. I thought that was for the nominations. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird because normally we get those after. But it's like I thought, well, in a COVID year we might get those before. But no, we won't. We won't. We'll get those a long time after. Okay, so yeah, that's what I have for now. Like I said, some of these films I'm going to be watching over the next. It might be a couple weeks to kind of get through these because a lot of these are ones that I'm either going to see on Netflix or on Disney Plus, which I do have. A few of these other ones, like the Amazon ones, I'll figure out. Like I said, I've got my or not Amazon, Apple. Sorry, Apple is the one I have. I've got a new iPhone this year, so I just have to figure that out, how to set that up to where I can get Apple Plus and then get a couple of these, like when Cherry when it comes out, and a couple of those. Anyway, so yeah. Otherwise, like Nomadland and a couple of The Father and those, yeah, it might be a little wait before I'm able to see those. But there's a few I'll try to catch up on here over the next few weeks. Some of them, like there's a Bee Gees documentary out that I really want to see. I think it's one of those HBO Max ones, but I think I can figure out a way to cheat that one. There's stuff like that. Like that's not necessarily like a big Oscar player. That one actually might be for documentary. It's like I haven't heard a lot of buzz on that category yet, but it's like that one. And then the Frederick Wiseman I talked about, City Hall. I'd like to see that one nominated. Having not seen it, but just him being the historic filmmaker he is. I mean, it'd be great to get him finally appreciated with a competitive nomination and stuff. But, like The Prom on Netflix I haven't seen yet. Midnight Sky, yeah, those are a couple, for example. So, that's all I've got for now. Obviously, like I said, some of these sites like Gold Derby and Variety, they don't have every last thing updated yet for some of these tech categories. So if there's a very obvious one I forgot, then put it out in the comments, and, we'll kind of go from here. But, yeah, like I said, it feels like November. It feels like we've got a little ways to go here yet. Before we get into the kind of nitty-gritty part of the you know what I'm trying to say. Before we get into the big kind of rush into Oscar season like we normally do. All right.